Tonight, I'll take you back to the quiet lanes of 1990s Mysore, a time when life was slow, nights were cooler, and even ghosts walked on foot. This is the story of Ramu of Rajendra Nagar, a man, his Luna, and a mysterious woman he should never have offered a lift to. Now, before we begin, if you enjoy my stories, do drop a comment. Let me know where you're tuning in from, what time you're listening, and if you'd like more tales like this. Your support truly helps keep these stories going. Now, sit back or lie down. Take a deep breath in, hold it for a moment, and gently breathe out. Let your body relax into the bed or chair. Let your eyelids grow heavy. Let the sounds of the story slowly take over. The story begins. In the heart of Mysore, just off the bustling Devaraja market and past the sleepy lanes of Rajendra Nagar, lived a man named Ramu. Short, stocky, always smiling, Ramu was known for his love of two things: old monk rum and his trusted old Luna moped, which he rode like it was a bullet. He wasn't a bad man, just a bit too cheerful for his own good. He laughed easily, drank often, and took nothing too seriously. Except, of course, the warnings of his wife Lakshmi, which he heard every single day. One day, Ramu, mark my words, your legs will carry you somewhere you won't return from. She ran a small tailoring shop from their front room, sharp-tongued, sharp-eyed, and twice as grounded as her husband. She balanced the house. Ramu balanced his drink. The 90s were a different time. There were no smartphones, no apps, no GPS. You relied on your memory, your ears, and the word of the rickshaw driver. And on stormy nights, like the one in our story, you also relied on your luck. It was the month of Ashada, when the air in Karnataka turns thick with stories. Stories of wandering spirits, unfulfilled souls, and the cursed trees near Chamundi Hills. But Ramu, he believed in none of it. And so, our tale begins. On a wet July evening, when Mysore's sky turned black and the rain decided to pour without warning, Ramu finished his last drink, laughed too loud, and kicked his Luna to life. What waited for him on the forest road that night wasn't just darkness, it was her. The time was a little past 9:30 p.m. and Mysore's sleepy streets had already emptied out. Street dogs huddled under tea stalls, lights flickered, and the heavy clouds over Chamundi Hills loomed like silent giants. Inside the ex-servicemen's canteen bar, the mood was light. Warm yellow bulbs hanging from the ceiling. Old Bollywood songs humming from a dusty radio. And the clink of glasses as men passed around their usual jokes. At the far end of the bar sat Ramu, his shirt already half untucked, laughing with his best friend Soma. "Aye, Ramu, Lakshmi will throw you out one day, I swear. Let her try matcha. I'll sleep on my Luna. Safer than that bed of hers when she's angry." The men laughed. The bar boy brought another round of Old Monk. Outside, the rain began to drum louder on the tin roof. "You'll go home in this rain?" Soma asked, squinting toward the street. "What rain? Mysore rain is like cinema villain. Full of drama, no real danger." They toasted to that. But Lakshmi's voice echoed in Ramu's mind, not as a warning, but as background noise. He loved her, truly. But she worried too much, he thought. By 10:15 p.m., Soma had called an auto and gone home. Ramu stepped outside the canteen, swaying just slightly, and zipped up his faded blue wind cheetah. The rain had settled into a steady pour. Not too harsh, but enough to soak you if you lingered. He lit a scissors cigarette took one puff, and walked toward his faithful Luna, parked under the neem tree. Shortcut or main road? He mumbled to himself. The main road meant streetlights, company, and cops. The shortcut, a narrow path skirting the edge of the forest near an old abandoned Kali temple, known for taking a good 15 minutes off his ride. He paused, looked at the clouds, looked at his watch, thought of Lakshmi, waiting with a towel and a frown. Then he said it aloud. What can happen here? Spirits don't trouble good drinkers. And with that, he kicked the Luna thrice. It sputtered to life and turned toward the forest path. The road narrowed quickly. The city lights faded behind him. Only his headlamp remained, a weak yellow cone barely piercing the dark. To his left, trees leaned like spectators. To his right, small puddles reflected flashes of lightning. It was just him, the rain, and the sound of the Luna's old engine, coughing like a retired peon with a cold. Then, about 5 minutes into the stretch, Ramu saw her, a woman, walking alone, slowly, barefoot, wearing a deep red sari, soaked and clinging to her frame. Her hair was long, thick, and wet, hanging down her back like black silk. She wasn't carrying an umbrella, or a bag, or even sandals. Just walking, calmly, silently, as if the rain didn't touch her. Ramu, ever the gentleman and slightly drunk hero, slowed down. He beeped his horn softly. "Oh, madam, it's raining cats and dogs. Need a lift or what?" She didn't respond. She didn't even look up. Ramu chuckled to himself. Maybe she's shy, or maybe she's deaf. But in this rain, I can't leave her like this. He gently pulled up beside her, water splashing from his tires. "Sister, seriously, it's dangerous to walk here. Come, I'll drop you to the junction." That's when she turned. Her face was pale, her eyes deep and dark, locked onto his. Not a smile, not a word, just a nod. She stepped forward and sat sideways on the back of the Luna. Her sari swished wetly. Her bangles made no sound. And suddenly, the moped felt heavier. Ramu, unsure why he felt nervous, adjusted his rearview mirror. Just a glimpse, just to be polite. But what he saw was that the seat behind him was empty. Ramu blinked. He glanced again into the mirror. The Luna's rear view showed nothing, just the empty road behind him. But he could feel her presence. He turned his head, and yes, she was sitting there, calmly, silently, her wet sari clinging to her legs, her face unreadable. "Must be the rain messing with the glass," he muttered. He gave a nervous laugh and twisted the accelerator. The Luna groaned. The weight hadn't been this much even when Soma had ridden double seat. As they moved through the narrow path, Ramu tried to lighten the mood. "You live near here, madam? Bit risky walking alone, no?" She didn't respond. The rain pattered steadily. The trees on both sides leaned closer as if listening in. "I've never seen you in this area before," he continued, hoping for a hint of conversation. "Visiting someone?" Still nothing. Not even a nod this time. Ramu began to feel cold. Not the kind that comes from rain, but the kind that crawls into your skin when something isn't quite right. The kind that makes you wonder if you're alone, even when you're not. He adjusted his mirror again. This time, the mirror wasn't blank. This time he saw her eyes, but they weren't looking at the road. They were staring straight into the mirror, straight at him. His hand slipped slightly from the throttle. The Luna wobbled for a moment. Ramu, relax, Macha. Just tired. You drank, it's raining and she's just quiet, he whispered to himself. But deep down, something inside him stirred. A forgotten memory. His grandmother's voice from childhood, telling tales of spirits that roamed near sacred hills. About how some ghosts don't speak. They simply follow. You shouldn't have offered. That phrase kept repeating in his mind like an echo. But he hadn't heard it yet. Not yet. Music dims momentarily, replaced by soft temple bells in the distance. Almost imagined. He tried to distract himself. He sang softly under his breath. An old SPB tune from Sankara Bharanam. But even his voice came out hollow. Oh, ho, e Meghalu, e Duraina, e Jabilu. The words faded in his throat. Suddenly she spoke. Her voice was soft, too soft. Where are you going? Ramu gulped. Home, Akka. Rajendra Nagar, near RTO Circle. A pause. Then she said, that's where I'm going too. But the way she said it, as if it wasn't a coincidence, as if she already knew. Rain continues. A dog howls far in the distance. Wind passes through rustling trees. He looked down at her feet, peeking from under the sari. No anklets, no toe rings, no sandals, just bare pale feet. His heart began to race. The path ahead bent sharply left, and just beyond that, the Srirampura Canal Bridge. He remembered what Soma once told him while half drunk. Ramu, if you ever feel like something's riding behind you, that shouldn't be, take them across running water. Ghosts don't follow past flowing water. He'd laughed then. But now, it didn't feel so funny. He could feel her getting closer, though she hadn't moved. The hairs on the back of his neck stood up. Oh Bhagavan, Anjaneya Swami, save me, he muttered. Music turns somber. A low synth hum begins to pulse. And then, she leaned forward slowly. Her voice was right next to his ear now. She whispered, you shouldn't have offered. You shouldn't have offered. The words echoed in Ramu's ear. Not loud, not angry, just absolute. As if they'd always been true. As if his choice was never a choice at all. He didn't dare look back. He didn't dare speak. His hands gripped the Luna's rusted handles so tightly that his knuckles went white. The Luna's engine rattled. The rain fell harder. And somewhere, in the depths of the forest, a night bird cried out. Ramu's breath quickened. His body felt colder now. The kind of cold that sank into his bones. The kind of cold that felt ancient. The woman hadn't touched him, but her presence was now all around him. In the mist, in the trees, in the shadows darting between raindrops. He passed the old Kali temple, now just crumbled stone under moss and banyan roots. He knew the bridge was just up ahead, the one that ran over the Srirampura Canal. If he could just reach it, if Soma's superstition had even a grain of truth, maybe he could end this. But the road suddenly felt longer than he remembered. The trees seemed taller, the rain heavier. He looked up just for a second and noticed something strange. No other sound. No crickets, no frogs, no wind through leaves. Just the Luna's dying groan and the whisper of breath behind his ear. Then her voice came again, almost gentle, almost curious. Do you know what's waiting ahead? He didn't reply. He didn't have words anymore. He just muttered over and over, Jai Hanuman, Jai Anjaneya, Jai Bajrang Bali. His lips were numb, his ears were ringing. He pushed the Luna harder. The tires skidded over wet stones. The brakes squealed. The headlamp flickered. And then he saw it. The bridge. Old, cracked, narrow. A single weak bulb hanging from a pole, swaying gently in the wind. He could hear the canal water flowing underneath, fast, full from the monsoon. But then, the woman behind him laughed. Not a loud, screeching laugh, a soft, broken one, like the sound of someone remembering something painful and sweet at the same time. You think crossing water will save you? Ramu's hands were shaking. His mouth was dry. He didn't answer. He just whispered, Forgive me, sister. I didn't know. As the Luna climbed onto the bridge, something changed. The engine coughed once, twice. Then suddenly, it sped up, lighter, as if a burden had dropped. The rain cleared just a little, enough for Ramu to risk a look in the mirror. This time, she was gone. Nothing behind him. No weight on the seat, no presence in the air. Only the sound of flowing water beneath. He stopped the Luna, got off, shivered, not from the cold, but from what had just left him. And there, caught on the brake pedal, was a piece of deep red sari cloth, fluttering in the wind like a torn prayer flag. Ramu fell to his knees, right there on the bridge. He cried, not because he was scared anymore, but because he realized something had shown him mercy. The rain stopped just before dawn. Ramu sat on the stone ledge beside the bridge, soaked to the skin, clutching the small torn piece of red sari in his fist. His Luna leaned against a rusted railing, engine still ticking from the heat. His hands were trembling, but not from fear anymore, from sheer disbelief. Was it real? The woman, her silence, that whisper, the way she simply vanished at the moment the water rushed below. He looked at the canal, flowing strong and silver under the grey dawn, and whispered, Soma was right. Spirits don't cross water. He smiled through his tears like a man who's just seen the ocean after walking through a desert. Soundscape, slow ambient paths, the chirp of sparrows, wind in trees. As the sun rose behind Chamundi hills, a soft orange light painted the world golden. Ramu pushed his Luna toward the small hilltop Hanuman temple that stood just beyond the bridge. It was an old shrine, whitewashed, with red flags fluttering and a brass bell hanging low over the entrance. He took off his slippers and stepped inside. No one else was there. Just the stone idol of Anjaneya Swami, eyes fierce, tail raised, holding the mountain in one hand. Ramu knelt. He placed the torn piece of sari on the step before the idol. He closed his eyes and he whispered, "Whoever she was, wherever she is now, give her peace." A soft gust of wind passed through the temple door, lifting the fabric for a brief moment before it settled gently back down. Narrator slows, voice softer, reflective. When Ramu finally returned home to Rajendra Nagar, Lakshmi was asleep on the sofa, the front door open, the light still on. She stirred as he stepped in, blinking. "Where were you?" "Long story," Ramu said, kissing her forehead. "I'll tell you when we're 80. She didn't ask further. She just held his wet hand and pulled him toward the kitchen. He sat down, watched the steam rise from the hot cup of coffee she placed before him, and let the warmth return to his bones. They say Ramu never took the shortcut road again. He never drank past sunset, and he always carried a packet of kumkum in his shirt pocket after that night. Sometimes he would pause on the bridge during morning rides and look toward the forest, just for a moment, just in case. But he never saw her again. Only once, years later. When the Srirampura bridge was being repaired and the soil around the old Kali temple was being dug up, the workers found a small silver anklet buried deep under the roots. Ramu heard about it in passing. He simply smiled and lit a camphor at the Hanuman temple that evening, just in case she was watching.